All right, here we are again for another session in the booth with the Rich Life Projects. And today I'm talking to someone who, again, I've known for a lot of years, but what a story he has, and one of Australians, when I say heroes or legends, it's not a sporting word that people get to throw around. It's an actual champion person who's been away, defended our country, come back and is doing amazing things. My friend, Paul Warren.
Morning, mate.
How are you, champion?
I'm good. How are you? Always good to see you.
Always good. We don't see each other enough, but we've known each other for a lot of years, and it is good when we catch up.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Talk a lot of shit that we like to talk, but what's been happening at present?
Anything and everything, really. Sort of doing a lot of work in the defence space still. Work on the business side of that now, so defence industry, which is booming globally. So after COVID, I think countries are trying to rebuild their manufacturing and their jobs by government defence spends. So, for instance, Hungary just spent $15 billion on armoured vehicles.
Wow.
So that sort of stuff's really, really going hard at the moment.
Wow. And life back in Brisbane, what's life like back in Brisbane?
Yeah, it's interesting. It sort of comes full circle a little bit, because obviously when we met and I was sort of fighting in and around that area, loved Townsville. I was posted there in the army, stayed up there for 12 years, some stuff with the Cowboys, some really good people there. But yeah, Brisbane's really good. Good change that I needed.
Change that you needed, mate. That's for sure. Let's go back into the growing up of Paul Warren. Where was little Paul Warren growing up at? What's the story of the growing up side of things, my friend?
Yeah, so funny story. I was born in Wollongong, so proud New South Welshman.
I'm not talking to you then. Queensland is my estate, mate, so keep that down. We'll edit that, please, Brad.
They didn't do me any favours at the Cowboys either, I tell you.
No, I bet.
But no, yeah, grew up there. Unfortunately, my birth mum sort of passed before I was 1 year old. So I guess when you're talking about growing up, I had to deal with those sort of things early. And then my parents, my dad remarried. My stepmom, she's a great lady, moved up to Toowoomba. And one of your previous guests, Chris Walker.
Oh, Chrissy Walker.
We grew up in the same town, mate. About
really?
1,000 people just outside of Toowoomba. He let me up plenty of times on the footy field, but
right.
Yeah, same town.
That's crazy. Big shout out to old Chrissy Walker. Anyone who comes from the same town as he is obviously trouble. Nah, he's a good man. So growing up in Toowoomba, what was your brother? You got a brother?
Yeah. So he's my half brother. We don't talk about it like that. He's my brother.
100%.
He had a lot of fights as well. Really good footy player as well. Toowoomba's a footy town.
Yeah, true.
JT came from there. Michael Luck, Chris Walker, Ben and Jamin Lowe. The list goes on. Wow. There's a lot of good footy players. But our parents sort of got us into martial arts pretty young.
Yep.
And that's what kept us out of trouble growing up.
What was the first martial arts? Obviously, you took on.
So parents took us to the Toowoomba PCYC, and just started I don't even know. It wasn't like Kyokushin, but like a traditional sort of karate, and
like a Shotokan or something like that.
Similar. Because
I was expecting you to say Taekwondo, because everyone when they were young, I got into Taekwondo, and it's everyone I go, oh, what was your first martial arts you got introduced to? Oh, Taekwondo. And then from Taekwondo, then it goes off to Kyokushin or, Muay Thai or boxing or whatever it does. So, yeah, righto. So that was your first introduction to martial arts.
Yeah, for sure. So I was probably about 9 or 10, and I'm thankful for that life. And when people ask me when I do speaking jobs now, what set me up to deal with trauma later, 100%, it's martial arts.
Yeah. What and so we're along the line of growing up, and then you got introduced to martial arts. What was the part where you come across Muay Thai? What kicked off the Muay Thai career?
So it's funny, like 14, 15, and you're competing, and what I love about martial arts, there's no off season. You're at it. You're
all the time,
every day of the week, whole year round if you want. It's more about a lifestyle, I think, than a season like a lot of other sports. So But I was 14, 15 and used to run to the newsagent and get the International Kickboxing magazine.
Oh, the big Hammer Castanedi, the big fella. Yes, that was one of his little pets that he had when he was in the magazine, writing some stuff for the magazine.
Yeah, the kids don't know how lucky they are now, just looking at their phones. We had to wait for the magazines to come out.
I was there every month. Oh man, who's in the magazine this month? But it was a big deal back then, the magazine. So I think it inspired a lot of people to get into the Muay Thai or kickboxing K1, so to speak. Yeah,
100%. You just grab it and be excited to read it. You had Stan Longanides at the time, Sam Greco, Peter Ertz, probably my favourite fighter of all time.
That. So, Mark Hunt back in the day, like he went from kickboxing to K1 to Pride to everything. So
100%. Yeah.
So crazy. So how many actual fights did you end up having?
Muay Thai?
Yeah.
So I ended up having 31, which, mate, was crazy because I should have had one the way I started. I should have been one and done. So with karate, I was probably not paying so much attention at school, and we went to Denmark for a world championship with Kashiki back then in 1996. Show my age a bit now.
Oh, you're far. Jeez, I can't even calculate how many years that is.
I got, and I say this to young kids when I go and do school talks and stuff, I got fourth in the world as a 17-year-old over there, but it's just points fighting, very different to a real ring fight, I guess. Came back and my ego far outweighed my ability.
Yep.
Trained for about 4 weeks. I'm like, yep, I'm in there.
Get me in those ropes. I'm ready.
And I was still stuck in the old, just hit and stop and just had no idea how it was working. And a 30-year-old man bashed the crap out of me, mate. And for some reason, there's something wrong with this. I went, I like this. I want to be good at this, despite my parents trying to talk me out of it.
Yep. Yeah. So that's where it began.
Yep.
Wow. So the Muay Thai, you went through the Muay Thai fights. Obviously, we crossed paths at one stage. I think I was a fat turd at 92 kilos when I got the call saying, mate, there's Paul Warren. He's up and coming, Australian champ. He's the fight, come back and have a fight. So I remember us two having that fight in Edinburgh Hotel, and it was good in regards to not even the result, but just the whole, again, I was way over my, use by date, and I just got in there for the sake of losing weight and having a last fight sort of thing. But that's our friendship that started from probably crossing paths in the fight game. That's probably when you talk about martial arts, the friendship and the lifestyle. You get a lot of friendships through martial arts, Muay Thai, everything that we've got personally. But that's the blessed part about the martial arts side of it, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And people don't get it if they're not involved in it.
Yeah.
When I do a speaking job and you show some photos and be like, I've got some really good mates and you're one of them. We try to knock each other out. But it's a sport built on respect and discipline and everything else. And, if you are a dick and you talk shit, you'll get found out and you'll get caught out. So,
what do they say? Talk shit, get hit. Yeah, pretty much the Logan.
But yeah, the old Edinburgh pub. I think you knew when you were matched up there. Joe Hilton shows. It was going to be a tough fight.
Yeah, it was
WMC gyms and
It was good. It was a good little venue too. The old barn out the back of the Edinburgh back in the day. I think they've knocked all that down or something. Someone was telling me. I don't know. I haven't been up the Sunshine Coast for that many years, but they reckon they knocked all that down. But it's It's not the Edinburgh anymore. It's something else apparently.
Yeah.
Aussie World or something.
Yeah, I went up there, actually took my kids there.
Oh, did you?
Last school holiday. So
yeah, right.
They've called it the Banana Bender pub and had to repaint it. They got into some legal trouble that they couldn't call it Edinburgh or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. After all those years of being the Edinburgh.
Yeah, some place in the US. Or, I don't know the details, mate, so I don't want to spend misinformation, but I heard there was a big legal battle and they had to change the name of it. So,
wow, and what do they call the Banana Bender now?
Banana Bender, and you got Aussie World, but the barn out the back where we still fought, I walked in there, I'm like, oh, my ribs hurt just walking in there, mate.
No, that was, mate, I love not so much the fight itself, I mean the lead up and just the actual friendship that I got from that fight with yourself, but just that, and just experiencing what that venue was like to fight at. That was a great venue, and a lot of the greats, Tony Hills, Kurt Finlayson, Nugget, and all those dudes fought in that sort of Etamoga back in the day, and it was just a great venue. It was great, crowd sitting right on the ring, so the atmosphere was crazy as well.
Yeah.
And I said that to Nugget on the podcast that I had him on just recently, and I said, in regards to him refereeing our fight.
Yeah, he did.
And I said, remember when I and Paul was on the ground. I think he slipped, but then I sort of done a WWE and landed on him, and then I just made out I slipped or something. And he was like, "Yeah," I said, "I knew what was happening. I just dragged you off." I said, "Don't ever do that again." And I just remember that part, and I was thinking to myself, "Fucking what an idiot! Why did you?" It was like if I could jump. I don't even know what I was thinking at the time. So, but no, that was a great sort of bout with me and you, and again a great friendship came out of that. So what interests me probably about your story is after we had our bout and you had your Muay Thai, and were you in the army, registered in the army then, or did you go and register after that?
No, mate, honestly, I had no. With the army, you're either, you're born into it. There's traditional military families. You follow your father, your grandfather. I didn't have too much of that. And then, the guys that we trained with in Toowoomba, we were doing a lot of nightclub security and stuff like that. I didn't particularly like the army blokes, mate.
Yeah, right.
There's a bit of a pack mentality around them, but once you get into that system, you see why they're very,
right.
one in all in type mentality. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you obviously registered to go to the army or join the army. When was it that you then? Well, first off, when you joined the army, and then you got told that you're going to Afghanistan. What's the mindset to that? Getting told that you're going to war. Yeah, as you said, you're not like a family traditional coming through that thing. You've just joined the army, going, okay, I'm representing my country. What was the mindset? What was your thoughts and everything on that?
So initially, how the thought process started, 2006, I had my last fight. I had 2 Aussie titles at the time, and I, sparring with Nathan Corbett showed me that I wasn't going to be a world champion. Yeah. Love the carnage, but definitely learned a lot sparring with him. I fractured my right shin. I kicked a bloke sort of knee, and I sat around and thought about what I want to do and what values I have as a person. And I need discipline and structure and things like that. I need to keep busy. And I think post 9/11, so 9/11, people wanted to join and do their bit because it was an attack on the West, like whether you're a conspiracy theorist or not, like, there was a lot going on around that time, and people that joined wanted to go over and deploy. So, I made my mind up in the back end of sort of 2006. That was what I was going to do. And I was off to Kapuka August 2007.
Okay, and then Kapuka is like the training camp, the facility?
Yeah, it's interesting, mate. So whatever corps you're going to, whether it's a combat corps, you might be going to warehousing or transport or something that's not so combat related. Yep. You all go to Kapuka together. They try and put you in a jar, I guess, and shake it up and
see where you end up.
Yeah, smash the civilian out of you a little bit. Which, being an older bloke and having done trips to Thailand and stuff, you had a bit of lived experience. I was 27, where my roommate, who's still one of my best mates, he was 18, 19-year-old kids.
Yeah, wow.
So, they get you there and they try and make you do everything with a sense of urgency and attention to detail, and you can see what sort of games they're playing. So,
it's fucking for real. Games are for real when it gets to that stage. So you're at there, you're at Kapuka training. Then obviously you get to obviously go how was it told that you're one you're going to be a soldier, 2 you're going to Afghanistan?
Yeah, it's crazy. So you go from Kapuka as an infantry soldier, you go down to Singleton then and do where it gets a lot tougher. So it's combat specific. It's all about it's the home of the infantry soldier at Singleton. Okay. You kind of get smashed there, and the attrition rate's high.
Yeah, really.
So if a platoon starts with 52, you might be lucky to get 30 out of that finish.
Really?
But
right, wow.
But that's the system, right?
Yeah,
and
true.
They're doing their job, because if you're a liability there, or it's not for you there, it's better that gets found out there than overseas when it all goes bad.
Yeah, right. 100%. So you get the call up as one of the soldiers, and you're deployed to go to Afghanistan. What's the thought pattern once you're on the plane, the jet, obviously heading over to Afghanistan? Obviously you had the wife and kids at that stage when you went?
No, I'd met Dee. I'd known her for about 3 months.
Okay. Then off you went.
Yeah, I only got 4 weeks notice to go.
Really?
So,
yeah, wow.
at the time, as we know, defence is very political. Barack Obama decided to increase his commitment there.
Yep.
So I got called into an office and they went, yeah, you blokes are going in 4 weeks as well with the rest. So,
wow, that's crazy, eh?
Yeah.
Well, when they told you that, and obviously you've trained, you've gone through the whole training facilities, and then your fucking mindset's obviously, fuck, now I'm a soldier. Was it when you got told, was it like, oh, fuck, I'm excited, I'm going to see some action, or was it a part of going, fuck, I'm off to war?
I think being an older bloke and having these thought processes, and I'm glad I didn't have kids at this stage because that alters your thinking a little bit. But
correct.
It's why we go. Yep. So our kids don't have to fight the fights like that we are at the moment. So
yeah,
you definitely put a few things in context, and it might not be a popular opinion, but we can speak from an athlete and the mindset about focusing and combat sports. But it does irk me a little bit when people are getting ready for sport and they say, I'm ready for battle, ready for war.
Yeah.
All right. Imagine playing a game.
Yep.
There's no time limit.
Yep.
There's no rules. You don't know when it's going to start. You don't know when it's going to stop. Yep. You don't know if you're coming back.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where we've sort of, again, it gets back to when it's a sport, obviously the mindset of an athlete have got to get to that mentality, what they think is warriors, a soldier's point of view. But obviously being a soldier and going through that next level of training, athletic, skills, soldiers look down on that and go, fuck, you got no idea what war is or a battle. But to them, that's the battle of the sport that they have chosen to do. It's totally different levels, but yeah, it's the same as when people go, mate, the sport, if someone wins the world title, someone wins the fucking 4 Olympic medals, and it's like they're heroes, they're legends. The words legend, heroes, it does get thrown around a lot in my old eyes and ears. It gets thrown around a lot, which when I see people go labeling people as heroes or legends, I'm like, fuck, what have they done? Like, they've achieved their goal in sport and they've probably inspired a generation. Those ones are probably legends in the sport. But you get the ones who have won a title, which, who knows what title it is, and then all of a sudden they're tainted as a legend. They're the best. There's so many, that word to me gets thrown around a fucking lot, which I go, what are they talking about? That must be a bit of an eye-opener for you going, now you've been through what you've been through, going, that word legend and hero and all that sort of gets thrown around a little bit different to you guys, obviously. Yeah,
it's perspective, mate. Honestly, I agree with everything you said, and what I said was not meant to be derogatory to sports people. I understand you need to be in the zone. You've got a job to do, and in some sports you can get hurt potentially as well. And you're right, sport in Australia, we're that country where sport motivates and inspires, and one of my good mates, Curtis McGarry, lost both legs, and he's won the last 2 Paralympic canoeing. That's someone I give legend and hero status because it just inspires a whole generation of people not to quit. So
that's a different mindset again. Like, that's fucking, I could go on for hours on that. So you get to Afghanistan. What was the first destination? Obviously you flew in with the group that you're with. What's the process when you fly into Afghanistan and getting ready for the full-on action of war?
Yeah, so 2009 I was deployed, which was the bloodiest fighting season Afghanistan had.
Really?
So it's called a fighting season because it's so hot there in the summer. That's their fighting season. In winter it'll get down to -20. So,
wow.
Vehicles coolant's frozen. You can't go out on patrol. There's snow and stuff. So,
far out. You wouldn't, that's weird. I would never think it gets down to -30 or something in Afghanistan. You think Afghanistan's like Saudi Arabia where it's just sand and hot all the time. That's my vision of what that is. So that's a crazy thought.
Yeah, it's very, very different, the dynamic between summer and winter. And when you look at it holistically, a lot of the world's heroin comes from there because of their poppies and stuff like that. So you've got the DEA involved with the Yanks, and it's some high level stuff going on. But they harvest all their poppies and opium and stuff like that, and then they'll stockpile weapons that they can use for fighting season. So
so everyone's paying everyone to really just keep active.
Yeah, 100%. So essentially got there. We went through Kuwait. Later on, they started going over via Dubai, and you land in Kuwait, and it's just a big desert, and you see remnants, your vehicle graveyard of what happens with with the Kuwaiti war and stuff like that over all the oil.
Saudi Arabia and stuff.
This massive graveyard of wrecked vehicles.
Really?
That triggers something in your mind.
I was going to say, what was that like, seeing that, like fucking, when you think, because you'd never seen something like that, but just seeing, like, as you say, the graveyard of those machines, and probably automatically thinking, fuck, were humans in that machine that fucking got blown? Or what was your thought process going into that sort of environment?
Yeah, even as an older bloke, like I was 30 when I deployed, so could still outrun some of the teenagers, but put them in their place.
100%.
Yeah, that it flicks a switch in your head, mate.
Doesn't?
You see mangled, armored vehicles and wrecks of vehicles, and they've obviously been in some pretty high-end explosions, and that's our biggest threat going over there as well, because while it's perceived as a third world country, they're so smart at wiring up electronics and just doing some damage. Yeah.
Fuck. YouTube, see? That's what happens. Probably fucking more than that. But so you're deployed, you're in Afghanistan. The day that everything changed for you, what was from what you can remember, what was the process that day?
So the lead up to that, the section I was involved in, so our section's about 8 blokes, and we lived in one of the Bushmaster vehicles. We were sort of out and about, and we were working with the commanding officer at the time. And our very first patrol, so you're looking at probably 52 degrees, carrying maybe 30 kilos of gear.
Wow.
It was pretty hot and hard going, sort of trying to get a patrol in, like maybe, I think we did about 10 Ks.
Yep.
But near the end of that, there was a Hilux driving along the road, civilian one, and you heard it like it hit an IED.
Yeah, right.
There must have been about 10 locals.
And what's for viewers who don't, what's an IED?
Oh, sorry. So an IED is an improvised explosive device.
Okay.
Or the media over here sometimes call them roadside bombs.
Yeah,
There's very little roads, so.
it's fair enough.
Yeah. It's just
so these things are in the ground. They've been planted in the ground.
Yeah.
And once they hit, like the weight of something hits them, boom, that's when the explosion.
100%. Okay. So a car will drive over is like a pressure plate once it makes contact, or an anti-personnel mine, or they'll either use that, and they'll a lot of the time there'll be secondary ones. They'll be wired up to something else. They're pretty complex.
Yeah, right.
And if that goes off, normally that's an initiator for people to jump out and start shooting at you as well, like a small arms. So.
Right. Wow. That's the ambush, so to speak, in the ground.
Yeah, 100%. So that incident doesn't mean it's over. That means it's probably just starting.
Yeah. Right. Wow. So then you travel along, as you say. There's another Hilux, was it?
Yeah. So it blew the engine like out of this thing. It made a mess of it.
Yep.
I don't know. They must have had 10 locals in there sitting in each other's laps and stuff. They all piled out, and somehow they weren't hurt. So
really. And then obviously you seen that Hilux obviously blow?
Yeah, a lot of us did.
What was your thought pattern then, going, fuck, what's going on?
Straight away, I just put everything in context of what your biggest threat was.
Yeah, okay.
Because if the locals don't know it's there, like how are we going to know?
Fuck, how are you going to know? Yeah, dead right.
And it does give you a bit of anxiety, like there's something wrong with you if it doesn't. Like
100%.
Where are you putting your feet? Your first few weeks over there,
Fuck, I'd have anxiety just flying over Afghanistan, just fucking being shot down, I reckon. But I'm obviously not made for war. But, so seeing that Hilux blow up, then your thought patterns, you're going, fuck, what is going on here? how far away did you guys run over the IED?
We were sort of on foot then, so we're sort of like spaced out where people, we're sort of just back from that road a little bit. They would have known we were there, but not sort of right out in plain sight either.
Yeah.
It just showed what our biggest threat was, like the very first patrol. So
yeah, right.
Over the course of that deployment, I think we lost 14 Bushmaster vehicles.
Really? Fuck.
That's how many things got blown up. They're amazing. They're actually an Australian-made vehicle.
Are they?
And the hull is a V shape. So
okay.
They're designed.
So if a bomb goes off, it reflects outways rather than up.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
To put that in context of how big a bang they're putting in some of these things, we did a recovery mission, which is painful because there's no hiding. They know you're going to come back for this vehicle. So, and one tyre, and these are massive couple 100-kilo tyres, was 100 metres one way and the other one was 140 the other way. So
wow.
It hit something pretty big.
Far out. That's crazy. And when did you guys, was it the actual vehicle that you were in that ran over one, or did you walk over it?
Yeah, so the incident, the day that sort of changed my life forever, and it was the 17th of July, and the CO could tell we were a bit antsy, and because we're only over there 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah,
you just want it to start, so you know how you're going to react, because no one knows until it starts, and you know, this is probably where it does sort of correlate with sport. When we go in and we're talking to the cowboys, it's about trusting your teammate, communication, all these sort of values that makes a good soldier system as well.
A great team as well, yeah.
So we got added to this mission, and honestly, he just sort of added 8 of us blokes, and it should have been the easiest job ever. He goes, just go and help them. You know, you'll be sitting at the back. They were going in chasing a known device IED maker.
Yeah.
He'd wired up a lot of stuff. He'd done a lot of damage, this bloke, and they knew what sort of village where he was roughly.
Yeah, right.
So our job was to go in at night. We left about 1 a.m, trolled about 5 k's in, with night vision and stuff like that. And that's one of our big advantages, because they don't have night vision,
don't they?
Like
Fuck, you'd think over the years of all the technology that they do get, the night vision would be one of them.
Yeah, for sure. That's why it's such a controlled item, because if they get their hands on that, then
fuck, that's even more of a
take one of their advantages away.
So you're patrolling the villages to try and obviously find that dude. Yeah,
so I'm on foot, and I'm carrying Mag 58, so a belt-fed machine guns, probably about 17 kilos loaded. So you feel that carrying that for 5 k's.
Fuck.
But yeah, it's good when everything goes south. You just lie behind that, and everyone's got to move around you. So I didn't mind it.
100%.
Got in there before first light, which is the plan. They call it a cordon and search. So, you know, you've got your team set up, and then people go in, and you do it at dawn. So, you know, you're catching them getting out of bed. So there's no like a police raid to be dawn or dusk are the 2 times you go and get people.
Yep.
Engineers had gone through the bit of ground where I was, had a really simple job. Like, we weren't sort of pushing it up the front, we were down the back. I had a gun pointed down towards this village where they were going in to search. Locals were near me, so that was one of the big tells. Locals always know where these things are buried, so they were happy to, you know, when the guys were sort of, when they were waking up, they were like, go and sit there so we can control them a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
They were happy to sit there, so I don't think they even knew this thing was in the ground.
Fuck.
I was probably there for nearly 2 hours, lying down, and no, you can't lie perfectly still. 50 degrees for a couple of hours. So I'd been moving around, and Ben Ranaudo was probably maybe 3 or 4 meters to my right.
Obviously your friend and your teammate.
Yeah, really good young bloke from down here in Melbourne.
Was he?
His parents are still down here, and happy, fit young kid that did everything with a smile on his face. But
that always happens to him, isn't it?
Yeah, all the good ones.
So and then the next process after that, you're walking around.
Not even walking, mate. It was so I'm still lying behind this gun. That was a piece of ground that I had to sort of look after.
Yep.
I was lying, which is lucky, because if I was standing up, it would have cut me in half. We wouldn't be having this conversation.
Really? Yeah. Fuck. I was like, yeah, because I was always interested when obviously I've known you for a lot of years, but just the details, because I always thought you're in a truck, like rolling over it, and the fucking truck got blown up. But yeah, so you're laying down, and what? How did you go? How did you come across that?
Yeah, so I've moved my right foot, and just been launched into the air.
Really?
So when they did sort of do a bit of a deep dive into what it was, anti-personnel mine, which is probably not much bigger than your hand.
Yep.
Just took my leg clean off.
Wow.
It was wired up, like we talked about earlier, to a secondary device, which is mortar rounds that you put in the tube and fire.
Oh, yep.
So there was 4 of them or something. Like we should have all been wiped out.
Really?
Yeah. The way this thing was
and
done.
where was Ben, your friend, at this time?
Still about, he was sort of looking after the locals that were sort of in and around with us, just making sure they weren't too unruly and stuff like that. So about 4 meters away.
Yeah. Right.
So closer to where those mortar rounds were buried.
Yep.
I've moved my foot, initiated this thing.
Boom.
Launched into the air. I remember it. Like I didn't.
You do remember it, or you don't?
Everything.
Do you? Yeah. Wow. Fuck. That's crazy.
Good chin.
Fuck yeah. Oh man, the fighting paid off. Fucking hell. So you get launched into the air. You fucking come to the ground. Obviously, the pain factor, the mind, what's going on? What's
not yet? Which is funny. I'm real curious about how the mind and stuff works.
Oh, it fascinates me all the fucking time. I'm
adrenaline,
and this is probably one of the mindsets that I'd fucking be really intrigued to find out in your circumstances. Fucking with the leg being blown off, and then boom, you've come down from the air, hit the ground. Like, what's going on
Just
around
a
you?
million thoughts in your head. So one thing movies do really well is that high pitch ringing.
Yeah,
when you hear an explosion on the movies, like, my right eardrum got blown out and there's just dust everywhere. Remember hitting the ground pretty hard and like, just fuck, what's going on?
Did you even realise the fucking leg was gone?
Nah, not
at that stage.
Not just yet.
Wow.
Your brain's just going a million miles an hour. You're like this dust and this ringing, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. Like, hit the ground, sort of landed on my elbow and stuff. I'm like, all right, we've been RPG'd, which is one of the rocket propelled grenades.
Okay, yep.
Like, because there's so many hills in Afghan, I'm thinking it wasn't the locals.
Yeah,
all this stuff's just going through your brain.
It would be. You'd be just overthinking everything.
Yeah, and you're like, it's on now. Like they're going to come out and shoot at us. We're near their village. Like this is going to be.
And at what point did you realise that fuck, my leg's gone? Like,
my thought process went crawl back to the bloke closest to me, which is Ben.
Okay.
I'd sort of crawled a little bit with my arms. I'm like, this is not working real well. Looked down and just gone.
And that's when you noticed your leg was gone.
Like literally gone.
Fuck.
Looked down. I still had my knee at that stage. I could see my tib and fib just been like sprayed open like that. Ankle and foot. Don't even know where it ended up.
Wow. Fuck. So you're crawling back to Ben. Obviously, Ben got the brunt of it as well.
Yeah, unfortunately. So people wouldn't tell me at the time.
Yeah.
And I was sort of asking them because, you're like a family, mate. You do everything together over there. You trust these blokes with your life.
That's a fucking amazing that the mindset of you'll look down and said, fuck, my leg's gone. And then you're going across, fuck, Ben, how are you, looking after him, wanting to see how he is. That's next level. That to me, that's next level.
Yeah, I think it's just
instinct, or your
biggest fear, mate, is letting your mates down. Yeah, mateship, what I've learned is something uniquely Australian. I think, like, if someone's your mate, we're mates. You get the shirt off your back. Like, that's what you do for your mates. And your biggest fear is not that you get hurt yourself or potentially even get killed. You've got to think about that before you go. But it's letting your mate down. So, there's a lot with that. I tried to crawl back to Ben. Saw my leg and fuck, I need some help. Saw one of my other mates, James Thorne, his name is. He's down here in Melbourne too. So great bloke.
Yep.
Come over and started the first aid process. But
right.
There's no time for sort of
fucking around.
No.
Wow.
And people can't run and get across the ground too quick because there potentially might be another one there.
Wow,
So
fucking
it's all
the
a bit
anxiety in that alone, just thinking, I'm going to go and save me mate, but you don't even know if you're going to cross another fucking bomb. Wow, fucking hell. That just blows my mind. So obviously the first aid happened straight away. How quick did they fly in, grab you and take you out?
So the people around me that day did an amazing job. Obviously, I feel for the people who got to Ben first and just went, there's nothing we can do.
Wow.
So that's a bloke I call a hero. He gave everything over there, and didn't get to come home. So
100%.
Wow. The training, and this is what I talk about if we go and do speaking jobs with sports teams or corporations. The training you do in the military is not, you don't do it until you get it right. You do it until you can't get it wrong.
That's right.
So you might be there late some nights and they just do it again. These scenarios, we're all carrying tourniquets on us and we all had, everyone knew where this stuff was. Once you lose a limb in theatre, there's a thing called the golden hour. So you've got an hour to get that person to a hospital. Your chance of saving them is drastically reduced. So I had people working on me, first aid, put tourniquets on. I had a bloke on the radio call in a 9-liner, and we're a long way out in the Belushi Valley. We weren't, this is back in biblical times where mud houses and
really,
it's crazy.
Wow.
But they had a chopper to me in 16 minutes, which is nuts.
16 minutes, fuck, that's crazy, eh?
The medics with me, obviously you bleed out. They need to put fluid back into you somehow.
Yep.
Your veins collapse because you're bleeding. So they pulled out this, it's like a drill, like a cordless drill.
Yeah, really.
And they punch it into your arm and into your bone until they hit the bone marrow, and that's how they feed fluid in.
Really?
That hurt. I had 2 of them sticking in my shoulder by the time I got to surgery. That hurt worse than the leg.
Really? The bone marrow fucking drilling in your bone to keep the fluids up?
Yeah. It's a crazy process.
Wow. Far out.
It worked, yeah.
That's fucking amazing. That is, well, it's amazing, but fuck, that's crazy too, to me. So which hospital did they fly you to?
One more quick thing with that, because I'm pretty sure he's going to be one of your guests in future. Paul DeGelder that got bitten by a shark.
Oh, yes.
His sister was the medic that patched me up.
No way.
Jackie, yeah.
Wow, I've met Paul Geller before in Sunshine Coast, and that he's hectic. What he does in life now.
Yeah.
Yeah, big shout out to Paul. He is a great dude and great human and a legend. Yeah, so wow, that's crazy that was his sister that helped you.
Yeah, Jackie helped keep me alive until the chopper came, and near the end, it's a 50+ degree day. They slapped me a few times. I went cold and wanted to go to sleep, which is probably not the best sign.
Ah, fuck.
You'd be able to check out. So
wow.
Once they got me on the chopper, and this is the shitty thing about IEDs as well. Like there was a 10-year-old kid they loaded on there. I think the boys had to grab him. He lost half his foot, like a local kid, obviously. I remember rolling over in the chopper and he sort of shrapnel around his chest, and
fucking
they just do damage to their own people as well and don't care.
No, that is the bizarre fucking thing with this world. Some people are their own people are just quite happy to fucking kill their own people off.
Yeah.
That's just crazy. So you get the operation. Where were you flying to?
So back to Tarankia, which is still in Afghan.
Yep.
And it's the big sort of base that everyone sort of leaves from when you go and work outside the wire.
Okay.
There was a Dutch team of surgeons and stuff there. So I still vividly remember getting off the chopper as well. Like once I was up in there and whatever drugs they put in me, I knew. You just had that sort of sense of calm and a big adrenaline dump. And
yeah, wow.
Yeah. Remember getting off the chopper and having a bit of a conversation and then, straight into surgery. So
fuck.
They could do that there.
So when you're obviously in that position, you have your operations. Obviously, you can't continue what you're doing. Obviously, they send you back home. And where did you come from when they sent you back home to recover or more operations? Where was that to?
Yeah, so I think that literally the worst moment of my life that I've sort of had to deal with is coming out of that first surgery. So waking up and I've got 3 people standing around me. I'm looking just to go, fuck, hopefully Ben's in a bed somewhere in this room. and I got 3 people telling me what had happened, and which is tough because I couldn't get up and walk away, and they're just sort of all looking at me for a reaction. I'm like, fuck, just leave me alone for a minute.
Yeah, wow.
And we'll get my head around this, and but yeah, the Dutch team and medics and nurses, I've got nothing but respect for the job they do. So they make sure you're stable. Talking to a medic friend, probably nearly lost me on the table a few times with low blood pressure and things like that. Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. A couple of big bits of shrapnel missed my spine just by a couple of inches. So
wow.
I'm just grateful, mate. I'm lucky.
Fuck, and that's the mindset. That's what fascinates me about the mindset as well. When someone like yourself has gone through that with the fucking war, blown your leg off, but you can still be thankful that something else didn't happen in regards to that. So yeah, fucking hats off to you, brother. I'm just like, fuck, that's crazy stuff. Post the war and you're recovering, what was post-war for you in regards to your mindset? And why I say that is because your brother Sean reached out to me one day. I think I was living on the Sunshine Coast.
Oh, really?
He reached out to me and rang me or messaged me or something. And that's where, because obviously we had our friendship, we fought each other back in the day, but it always sticks to me in regards to your stories when he messaged me and said, oh, hey, Rich, we haven't met. You're friends of my brother Paul. He's back. I was just wondering if you could ring him and talk to him. So it was Sean that reached out to me, and then I said, yeah, 100%. Just give me his number, whatever. And and then I rang you, and because Sean said, oh, fuck, he's in a dark place. Like how much time after that when you got back and dealing with what your loss of your leg, and then how long and what sort of dark places in regards to did you go?
Yeah, thankful for my brother to reach out, and he knew how much respect I had for you, mate. So yeah, I'm glad he did that because I wasn't in a position to really think straight at that time, to be fair. And you've just got to grind out those dark days until you get to a point where you have a little bit of hindsight and you can put things in perspective. That's also difficult when they're filling you full of morphine and stuff.
100%. 100%.
You're just a mess. So yeah, they are a few hospitals, Black Hawk trips, and then you get on a plane and they fly you to Germany. Then yeah, thankful again to the nurses and stuff. There's just stretches 2 or 3 high of people that had been messed up over there. And if you're in the coalition, so, the countries that work together, you all go back through the Middle East, through Germany, from the Middle East.
Okay.
Go to the hospitals there. And then flew home to Brizzy. So, I struggled, mate. I really struggled because the 2 things I'd identified myself as, like your identity was being a fighter.
Yep.
Or someone that could do martial arts and being a soldier. Like I loved it. I thought I was going to be a lifer. Like I'd had my career mapped out.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to do this trip, get some experience. I'm going to have a go at 2 commando selection, one of the special forces units down at Holsworthy. So, as you know, life sort of has different plans for us sometimes.
Yeah, man.
So.
Yeah, 100%. So how many years would you say you went through sort of a dark time or dark thoughts in regards to coming out of it, so to speak?
12 to 18 months, easy.
Yeah.
So for me, and comes back to martial arts again, the physical stuff for us is easy. We're used to not being comfortable or, if
or
you're
being
a fighter,
comfortable in an uncomfortable position.
100%. We put ourselves in some average spots at times.
Yeah, 100%.
Dig our way out. Like, it's what we do. But the identity thing really sort of hit me. When I had physical tasks, and there was 3 of us injured at that time, and it was De Gelder, and then Damien Tomlinson lost both his legs, and we're all within a couple of months of each other. Yeah. So we're like, oh yeah, he's up and walking in 6 weeks. All right, I've got to get up and walk at the same time. So like,
you sort of got a bit of motivation from each other for the progress where each other was.
Yeah, the physical stuff's easy. We've all done physical rehab when you're an athlete or a fighter or whatever. So, the mental stuff. Once I got back home to Townsville and the majority of my mates were still over there.
Yeah, okay.
So you get a bit of anxiety thinking, hopefully
they come back.
Next.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I've, been at home over the next few years and saw some of my mates' names come up on Sky News that they're not coming back.
Wow, that's fucking...
no worse feeling. Nate Gallagher, Matthew Lambert. Yeah, just...
that would be a crazy, crazy time. Fuck, that's just... Yeah, crazy, because I do remember talking to you on the phone. As I said, we spent probably 2 hours talking, and in my mind, I wasn't even conceiving what you've fucking been through, like in regards to that. I'm just, once your brother rang me to have a chat to you, I'm thinking, okay, he's in a dark place. Let's fucking try and get him motivated. There's plenty of things he can do without a leg. Let's fucking try and talk. And yeah, talking for a couple of hours, it really instilled into me going, fuck, this dude is a fucking warrior, man. Like fucking once we finished talking, and then we obviously stayed in touch, but some of the things after climbing out of those dark times, some of the things that you've got that mindset and that strong will to go, like the Invictus Games, fuck, here you are, doing, what were you doing in the Invictus Games?
Yeah, it was crazy, mate. So, I guess to go through a bit of what you've just mentioned, like I'm thankful for that phone call. Nugget was one of the first people that came to the Brisbane hospital to see me.
True, yeah.
And
shout out the Nug.
With his ink and stuff like that, the nurses didn't know what to make of him. They're just like, yeah, Paul's in there.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful for that. Like he's like, mate, there's more to life than punching and kicking. Like, because at that time, I'm
trying to get
who am I now?
Yeah,
like, what do I do? Like, and I did get pretty dark, mate. I got to a point one time where I swallowed a heap of meds and I was over it.
Really?
Yeah.
So the thought of suicide, obviously, just fuck, I know, end this. Who am I? That's getting into that space,
Yeah, the part that messed with my head was putting this leg on every day and trying to learn how to walk again and retrain yourself how to function again. But that was a reminder that Ben had been killed.
Yeah, yeah.
And you feel this sense of guilt, like, I should have done something different, should have done, like,
yeah.
You just turn yourself inside out.
You hear those stories all the time, the guilt and fucking, that kicks in, yeah.
But, mate, life's good. Like, the thing that, one of the big things that turned me around, so my first child was born, Keanu was born August 2010.
Yep.
So everything else works.
Yeah, that's it. Thank God. The old fellow, he's up and about. So they're beautiful because obviously kids change your perspective in your life as well. So that was probably a plus that happened.
Yeah, 100%. So as soon as I held her, I think, I just, no more painkillers, no more, and I was probably on that 12 months. I was on that train for a bit. So it's so addictive to get off. Yeah, true. At the end of the day, and you've got to find your purpose to get up for, and that was that purpose. You couldn't be so selfish. I got her to look after me.
Amazing little angels born, to give you some sort of direction.
Yeah, 100%, Keanu, and there's nothing like daddy's little girl, as you know.
100%, mate. So. Fuck, that's, as I say, I think I say every father that has a baby daughter realises in their life, the first time they realise in their life what true love is and what true protection is when it comes 100%. To your daughter, Yeah. Yeah, fucking amazing. So then obviously that gives you perspective with the kids. Then you sort of start to get a bit of momentum. Obviously the Invictus Games, you meet fucking Prince Harry at some stage there going, what was your sort of event or what were you doing regarding to the Invictus Games? Yeah, so in the lead up to that, and this is where you get to make decisions on your own life. So one of the first prosthetic people I walked into, he's like, I think I was in a wheelchair still, and he's like, mate, I asked him about running and I wasn't even walking. Yeah. Because such a big part of a fighter's life. 100%. And that's what I used to do to clear my head. Like, you just go for a run and you feel better. Like, he's like, mate, yeah, you're going to have dramas with that. So there and then I decided, well, you're not going to tell me what I'm capable of. And I found a guy, Jens Borfeld, who looks after Curtis and Damien and Paul. And he's the best prosthetic guy in the country. Yeah, okay. Ended up with a running leg, did some stuff with Ian Bone. He'd come to the running track with me. And Ian Bone up there at Courage facility up there. Yeah. He's a great man, great knowledge and just a great human. Fellow Ginger Ninja. Oh, right. Shout out to Big Boney. Yeah, right. So that's, done some stuff with him because I remember him talking to me about, working with you, doing some stuff too. So That's another important thing, having great people around you too, isn't it?
That's it. And once again, that's the fight community. If
True.
You might not have seen someone for 10 years, but if they're going through a hard time, we'll all go out of our way to put something together and help them out. So thankful for that community. It really is a community. So got back running, which is good. I did the 100 meters over there in 2014. So and we didn't know how big Invictus Games was. So I'd discharged from the army.
Yep.
So once again, I started to make decisions for myself because they weren't going to let me get promoted, even though I got back to running and stuff. I'm like, well, I'm wasting my time here. Like, it's not a career anymore. I can't progress. Jax was born in 2012. My son, Jax, we named after Ben. So Jax Benjamin, his name is.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely special.
Yep.
I was working at a refugee camp in Nauru. So I flew home from night shift. And off to London a couple of days later. We just thought it was like just turn up and have a crack.
Bit of fun, just having
No.
Serious as, huh?
Yeah.
Really?
We got there and it's all over Buckingham Palace and it's all over London. And
I suppose when you got Prince Harry at the helm of Invictus Games, you're gonna get some publicity and some knowledge.
The Foo Fighters hadn't played for a couple of years. They weren't sort of doing anything, and we turned up to the American Embassy in London and snipers on the roof and Prince Harry's walking around. You got the Foo Fighters to play, and it's just a crazy big event. But the Yanks and Brits really showed us what a solid rehabilitation scheme looks like with defence people.
Yeah,
so a lot of them became Paralympians, and it's quite powerful when you see those two teams come in, because half of them in wheelchairs. They've got females that have been in combat roles and are missing limbs and stuff as well. Sport can be very uplifting, but if you haven't trained for stuff and you're going to get pumped, it can be very
100%. Yeah. So it's just like just going back to being an athlete. Just you got to do everything right. Yeah. You can't just turn up and go, fuck, I'm in the game, Victor's Games, what's this all about? And just not train or not even have a thought what's going on. So that would have been crazy too. Just to keep your mind active and have your mind just going, wow, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's really good. And adaptive sport, I'm speaking at the Forces Command sort of health and wellbeing conference next month to talk about, I think adaptive sport is good for people, and it can reduce a lot of depression and stuff. Because we know every physical injury will get you down, and it will turn into a mental health injury if you don't look after it.
That's right.
So if you've done a knee or an ankle, throw them in. Mate, play some wheelchair rugby, play wheelchair basketball. Just keep yourself going so you don't put weight on, and
productive and activity and 100%.
It's a great event, mate. And then Harry was great. What he's done now doesn't surprise me, because in that environment, he just wants to be one of the lads.
Yeah,
when it was over, he's like, I've taken all the photos during the week. You just want to have a beer with us.
Yeah, true.
So he's just that sort of bloke.
Yeah, well, that is crazy. That is crazy. So you've done the Invictus Games. You build that up. You've wrote a book, The Fighter, about your details, not just through your martial arts, but obviously the war and everything that's personally happened to you. That's still out and about. You can still buy that book, The Fighter.
Yeah, publisher probably chose that title a little bit. I don't know if it sort of, if it sort of fits, but at the time, mate, honestly, you could see what was coming for a lot of people. Yeah. We have been over the last 10 years in a suicide epidemic with defence. People that particularly go to war zones or in combat related things come back and struggle to fit in and reintegrate back into society. That's why sport's important. Get them confident, get them going, and then try and get them to engage in groups and stuff like that. But for me, I wrote that book because you can see I've got a physical injury.
Yep.
But I wrote about PTSD because I think there's too many blokes just going, I don't want, the old school mentality, don't want to talk about it.
That's right.
And it was far more debilitating than my physical injury. If I'm mentally right, I'm okay. But and too many of us, good mate Phil Thompson, we were catching up with each other at funerals because we'd lost another one and another one and another one.
Crazy.
So that was honestly the driving factor for my book. Try and talk about mental health openly, honestly, and compare it to a physical injury.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I'll get back onto that that subject with the return soldiers. Obviously writing the book, then you've done some mountain climbing, attempted some mountain climbing, doing some army programs, like in the actual Defence Force as well, and you're doing speaking, like public speaking around at different companies and everything else. How do people get a hold of you doing, the public speaking, so to speak?
I'm working with a company called Keynote at the moment, so you can find me on their website. And they sort of get me some work here and there. I'm still working full time with defence stuff as well, which is great.
Yep.
That whole period was sort of, as you do one project, I'm a bit like you. Like, I don't sort of sit back and give yourself a pat on the back. You're straight on to the next one,
something else.
And the next one.
Straight on something else. And then, so obviously keeping your mind active through the Invictus Games, writing the book, climbing mountains, programs and speaking. The big issue that I want to obviously touch on, and everyone obviously who's listening and wants to know these things. Obviously, when you return from active duty and you've got your the disabilities or the different things that happen, the suicide rates in regards to the PS with return soldiers, when you say epidemic, how high or how big is this epidemic?
All right, so what people aren't seeing right now, and I'm grateful you asked this question and give it the platform that it deserves, mate, because I know of about 4 under the last month.
Really?
Some of them had young kids, which is just horribly painful to think that you're in that darker place that, we lost 42 people serving in Afghanistan, the Australian Defence Force.
Did they?
We've lost over 400 to suicide, so over 10 times.
Oh, wow.
And that's the ones that they've kept tabs on. So I think there's more. More needs to be done. Obviously, worked in a place, mates for mates for a bit. Females handle trauma very differently. They realise there's an issue. They talk about it.
That's right.
It's us. It's men that are a bit stubborn and still that alpha male attitude of keeping it to yourself. Like, I'd rather listen to your problems. I know that Paddy said it at one of those UFC events. You would have seen that. I'll listen to your problems all day rather than go to your funeral.
Definitely. And I think that's a big thing, that mental health that I'm big on, especially with young teenagers and the kids, and then anyone you cross who's got that mental battle, especially men. It's a thing where we've all been through certain things, but getting it off your chest, talking about it, doesn't make you weak, doesn't make you a less of a man. It really, to me, it brings out where I feel more in touch with my emotional self. And it's hard. I know it's hard for people going through all those things, but as you say, you'd rather try and listen to a friend's problems or help them rather than going to their funerals, and so many with mental health problems and return soldiers, it's such a massive thing, because they think, because they're in that environment where, you got to be tough. If you're, crying, or you're saying, you feel bad or you're depressed or something, you're a soft bastard. You got to, pick your shit up and keep moving forward. That's what we do in the army, or whatever else is the motto in the army. But it's fucking such the opposite. It's such the opposite. Do they actually, when you return, does the Defence Force, government, whatever you like to call it, do they have these programs in place to help?
Not enough, mate. And this is where Invictus was really important. So, besides the events, in 2016, when I got to captain the team, literally got to speak at a mental health symposium they had over there that was on ESPN, and learn it was a learning experience. So how did the US deal with it? How did the UK deal with it? Good to work with George Bush, which is pretty amazing. Like, he felt a sense of guilt because a lot of those people had been injured on his watch, right? Like,
exactly right.
So you never know what people are carrying, like, behind the facade that men are good at putting on. But no, we definitely need to do better. Some of the Brit guys told us that they do they could be 8 hours from the Middle East and they're back in their lounge room. Like, it's crazy. Just going from, the Wild West to back home, fish and chips and watching TV with your kids. Like, that's crazy. But their decompression cycle's a little bit different. They'll take them before they send them home. I don't know if they went to Cyprus or something like that.
Yeah.
Feed them a heap of beers, let them get it all out of their system if there's raid, whatever. Like I think that decompression after a deployment needs to be a little bit better.
Yep.
And then, just getting people to sort of open up. And if you come at it with a solution-based focus, like if I talk to you, and obviously being mates, I respect what you say. You're like, well, try this or try that. Like,
That's right.
You need to open it up and try and.
Yeah, there is no right solution. Everyone's just trying to come up with a remedy that will help rather than this is what it is. It's more you're just helping, and when you're talking about things amongst friends, as you say, you're sort of helping, trying to find a solution.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And you're exactly right. There's no one size fits all. The eight or so guys that were involved in air incident that day, some have nothing to do with the military anymore. I still work in defence industry. Some are special forces guys. Like we all, it's not that thing that burns and drives us. We all
everyone's different.
Everyone's different. Like.
Yeah. And when you returned, as you say, they need more programs for the returned soldiers. What do they still? Obviously, do you still get if you're in your position, still get a pension or anything?
Yeah. So this is a big failure of the system as well, and obviously, Tomo and I talk about this quite regularly.
Yep.
So what they did with Vietnam was like, here's your pension, sit at home. We all know that's no good for any of us.
Fuck no.
You're probably taking pain meds. You probably
on the piss.
If you told me I didn't have a job or accountability, I'd be an alcoholic in a month. Like, just, what are you living for? Like,
what is your purpose?
So with mine, the Department of Veteran Affairs wanted to do that to me, and I'm like, no, I'll take the smaller pension. I'll go and get a job. Like,
yeah, really.
I went and worked on the worst place for me. I spent 2 years on Nauru in a refugee camp.
Yeah,
shouldn't have been. That was probably some unfriendly reminders of some different stuff.
Can't they keep you on, when you say reduce your pension, can't they keep you on the top pension and you still go and fucking work? Like, isn't that realistically, to me, that'd be a right that you fucking earn?
Mate, it's a crazy system. So if as soon as you start working and you want to better yourself, they punish you financially.
Fucking hell.
So there's a lot of people, you'll come to a fork in the road where you need to make some tough decisions. And for me, I'm thankful I did. I've worked ever since I left in 2013.
Yeah.
But some people weigh it up and go, oh yeah, I've got a family, I've got kids, you're going to pay me this much to sit at home. And there's advocates to sort of process their claims and stuff like that. And we saw it up in Townsville. 6 months later, the partner or the missus or girlfriend that's pushing for these entitlements, 6 months later she's leaving him because he's just sitting around like
nothing, unmotivated or depressed or unhappy. Yeah, that's the double-edged fucking sword, isn't it? Yeah,
100%. So I think work, that's why I'm passionate about that stuff. And when I came off the back of that mountain trip in Chile, where they always laugh about it, they tried to finish me off over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, spending a night up over 6,000 meters altitude, like I was.
Where was it? Minus 30 degrees or something? You're saying?
Yeah,
Fuck.
Andy's Atacama, so it's one of the 7 summits over there. But they wanted to try and drive to that. It's the highest drivable point in the world.
Yeah.
Show the capability of the vehicles, but the capability of veterans as well.
Yeah,
so
right.
There's myself and a British bloke that had broken his back.
Far out. Did you get to the top?
We got to 6,100 and something, and then not quite.
Yeah, right.
But I think we built the world's highest rescue shelter up there for the mountain climbers to sort of go and access if they get.
That's still a fucking fair way up, because I've been like with Albuquerque when we train over at the MMA gym, Jackson's, and they got Sandia Mountains, and that's I think 6,000 or 7,000 feet. No, I think Albuquerque's 5,000 or 6,000 feet above sea level. Then you go to the Sandia Mountains, which is I think 10 or 11 or something thousand feet. So still that's still a high altitude too.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
But, and I'm here I am living at sea level in the tropics thinking that'd be a good idea. I'm like, no, I'm out. But I'm thankful. Like Rheinmetall's a beast. It's if you look at that company and the history of it, they've been around since the 1800s pouring steel and, gone through all the wars in Europe and stuff like that. And they are providing our defence force some amazing capability.
Yep.
But I'm very thankful. There's a guy called Ben Hudson, and he was an ex-army officer, and he'd had mates in the same position.
Okay.
just struggling to find what it is. And he said, they offered me a job. They're like, you design and implement a veteran program that gives people an opportunity to come into work, be part of a team. And the first bloke we piloted that with was an above knee amputee as well.
Yeah, okay.
And he's still working with the company, mate.
Wow.
So,
That's what I mean. Like, if, anyone of the government's listening with these returned soldiers and all the rest of it, yeah. But the returned soldiers themselves, keeping active, keeping the mind busy, going through that and talking to your mates or talking to family. And I'm so big on it, getting it off your chest. It's not a really talking point that some people go, oh, he talks about that, he big name himself, or some people are talking about things to get it off their chest. It's got nothing to do with oh, look at me. It's just I need to talk to get it off your chest. So that's my biggest thing, especially with returned soldiers. And as I said to you previous to this episode, is what bugs me about Australia in regards to whether it's governments, the attitude, society, who knows, but when I go to America and you see a soldier walking down the airport, you see a soldier lining up for get on the plane, or you see a soldier in line at a food stop, it's like they get applauded and they get ushered to the front of the line because of the service they provided to their country. And it doesn't matter what town or city you're in the US, I've seen that all the time, how troops were treated. But when I'm in Australia, and I always come back to Australia, I see it so differently. I see them not getting treated the way that heroes should be treated. Even if someone's wearing a uniform, he's representing us as a country, our freedom. I think we're a society who thinks Australia's way out of the way of everything and nothing's going to harm us. But as you said earlier, the certain countries that we've got to be looking out for, there's a lot of things that may happen in the future, and our servicemen are the number one people. Like, they're prepared to go to war and die for us, the people. That's the double-edged sword I see with the US people in regards to the returned soldiers and how returned soldiers are treated in Australia. Do you feel that? Do you get that?
I definitely do, mate, and I see exactly where you're coming from. We love Aussie Day and we think we're patriotic, but when you go over there and see how the Americans how they do it, it's next level. So an example of that is went over pre-2016 Invictus Games, the second one, and they sent all the captains over and we did some media. I'm sitting at Orlando Airport having brekkie and went to pay my bill, and they're like, no, you're in the newspaper or TV or something, and someone's already done it for you,
paid for the meal.
Yeah, it's crazy. They just and wanted to remain anonymous, never got to shake their hand or anything.
Well, that's just a good act and good deed that no one needs to know about. Just the person who's served the country and being the true hero in my eyes. That's number one. And it's just, I just don't know. I just see it so different in Australia to what America is. But there's so much more that can be done in regards to what you're doing and keeping that positive mindset, doing your public speaking and your book. If anyone's out there and wants to read a good read, the Fighter book, 100%. Don't worry about page 53 or 54 where it says Rich Fogarty, nah. But, again, I felt honoured more and privileged to be in that book because I knew what your story, a part of your story was, and our friendship obviously over the years, I've always held that close to me because, your circumstances, but how you are as a human from what you come from, it still blows my mind sometimes of how does someone move on and become themselves again? It's obviously you would know personally. It's a journey, isn't it?
Yeah, mate. We've all got those. I appreciate your words too. We've all got those values inside us, and you just got to lean on them a little bit and figure out, who you are. The Army's got a saying: improvise, adapt, and overcome.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Deal with it. It took me a little while to deal with walking differently and being a bit different. But at the end of the day, I got two happy, healthy kids. Ryan Mattel's just about to employ me to go back and run that program again.
Beautiful.
And I'm just thankful. And you never know what you come across someone does, and that's why you're part of my book, mate. Even with that fight and then being mates afterwards, like I had to adjust how I was fighting at the time because you're a bit more fast paced than me. Like you just never know what sort of effect you're going to have on someone that you come across. Yeah,
but I did like the WWE jump from the felt like top rope. I still apologise for that, brother.
All good, mate.
But so wrapping up today, and it's been an amazing story, and fuck, I've always wanted to get you on the Rich Life Projects. If I was to say right at present today, 2023, Paul Warren, what do you class and what do you have as your rich life these days?
Time with my kids, mate. It's just those little things. Like I'm not looking for anything big, anything fancy. Money comes, money goes. I think resilience is accumulative, and I think with fighting and even cutting weight and all this sort of stuff and winning, losing, and then you could put me in any sort of spot and I'll be all right. Yeah. I think that's the mindset that I sort of carry, and instead the weekend with my kids. So that's that gives me that purpose and drive. They can't see dad at home just because life didn't go his way, doing nothing. That's what 100%. Drives me.
Yeah, no, man, that's unbelievable, and I just want to again appreciate your time to be on the Rich Life Projects, and again, it's a story I've wanted to dabble into for some time. So again, as a friend, I appreciate your time, brother, and man, you're a champion.
Thank you, mate. Always good to see you.
100%. Now you can shout for lunch.